Welcome to the podcast, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
I have been very excited to have you on the podcast. This has been a bit of a personal hobby for me since I saw your story online, which is very inspiring, and we'll go into. I guess to start with, we can maybe see where some of that happened, and in your own words, maybe you could explain what poi is and where some of it started for you. What's led here over the past few months, do you think?
Okay, so poi is it's a circus sport, but it got massive in the early noughties in the rave scene, and it is, well, what I use is LED poi, so they glow and they're just glow balls, and you just spin them really, really fast in pretty patterns. But there's loads of different types of poi, and the circus lot are absolutely amazing with them. You should see the tricks that they can do. They throw them in the air and catch them.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I first started it way back in 2004, and I had a little go at it, and then I never touched them again until 29th of October last year. And I was in a really, really bad place mentally. And I kind of had this, I don't know, I just needed to try one last time to do something to help me.
Yeah.
And I was cleaning out one of my rooms, and I found my old poi from 2004, and the battery still worked. So I turned them on, and I had a little dance. And I don't know what kind of led it to it, but I thought, all right, I'm gonna do this every day, and I'm gonna post it on TikTok. I don't know what made me do it, but I did it, and the response was insane, because I just posted and said, oh, I'm doing this to make myself feel better. Next thing I know, it's 4 months down the line, and I've got nearly 50,000 followers.
Wow.
And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's some following. And when you found the poi, I mean, it's a bit of divine intervention, that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Of these poi actually still working after all of this time.
Crazy. And they kept going until I actually caught it on video, and it's one of my favourite videos. I was spinning and one flew off. And then I upgraded. So I've now got better poi. But the fact that they worked after 20 years is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. How did you know it was something that was going to be a thing that you stepped back into? What was your intentions when you first did find them? They still worked. You, sounded like you were in a really bad place. And how did you know what to do? Like, beyond the poi type movement, how did you know what was going to help?
I don't think I really did. I don't think for the first, probably 2 months, I didn't really think anything was going to come of it. But having the music and moving every morning, just for I was literally just doing it for a minute or 2 minutes, and I felt free for the first time in many years, because I'd kind of because I'd been so depressed, I'd forgotten how to put music on or how to dance. I'd forgotten all of it. And the moment that I started moving and dancing again, and having the music, and it just took me somewhere else. And I was like, I've got to stick to this, because it feels really good in that 1 minute. The rest of the days, the other 23 hours and 59 minutes of the day were still bad. But that 1 minute was just free, and it was glorious. And after about 2 months, because I did it every single morning, and after about 2 months, that consistency as well became something that I really kind of depended on. And I started to feel like I was finally kind of getting to grips with life again.
Yeah.
I just felt it just made me feel solid again. After so many years of feeling not so solid.
I mean, there's lots of things that comes up with the movement and poi and coordination, all of this stuff, the music. It's kind of, in a weird way, a very subtle version of EMDR, actually.
Yes.
Because we access both sides of our brain when we do it. The movement, trauma is stored in our body, stress is stored in our body. So constantly things being released, our brain going back and forth with the coordination. It's beyond the motor movement, isn't it? And physical health, which of course is tied in with mental health as well.
Absolutely.
So the processing element of it is probably what you was getting in those early days, especially. Still ongoing, but having that minute every day, it's become a coping strategy, and being able to keep yourself accountable and put it in your routine is probably what served you in a lot of that.
Very much so. Yeah, it's, I think as well, because I use a lot of old music, so old trance classics. And I think it is an element, there's that element of nostalgia as well, and kind of almost remembering who I was all those years ago. And kind of, because over the years, I've lost myself many, many times. And the amount of times I've gone, I'm going to find myself again. And I think having that little bit of nostalgia as well has helped me kind of unlock a few memories that maybe I'd kind of forgotten or suppressed.
Yeah.
And I started to be like, oh, this is what I like. This is the music I like. I like to dance. I like the pretty lights. And I started to like things for me instead of, I think I've spent a lot of years liking what other people like because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. The reconnection back with yourself and being able to have that authenticity, really important in there. The trance music also, ironically, there's a level of frequency. I don't know if you know about some of this stuff, but it's designed that way for that euphoric feeling. It's all there in your subconscious, and emotions are triggered by different frequencies. Again, going psychology geek here.
I love it.
So yeah, the music that you're listening to is also all part of it. It's kind of therapy in movement, which is essentially what people forget a lot of the time, how linked it is. The reconnection back with your old self, what happened there?
I don't know. Like I say, I think I kind of, with the nostalgic music, remembered, I don't know, it's really hard to explain. So I've been told, I don't know how true this is, but I've been told I have dissociative amnesia. And I don't remember many things. In fact, I pretty much, like 90% of my life, I don't remember. Have no specific memories. And it kind of unlocked some memories. And in doing that, I kind of felt whole. Not whole, because I'm still becoming whole, but I felt, like I was finally unlocking whatever was all broken in my brain. I felt like all of this it's just been tipped on its side for so many years. I've had a couple of good years over the span of my life. But yeah, this is the first time that it feels like everything's just together. And it's the first time I've danced all my life. I have always loved dance. I've loved music. But this is the first time I've ever used it in a therapy type of way. I've always used it, like, I love to pole dance. Great release of emotion, love it. But I've never done it other than just because I love it. Whereas this time it's just a completely different situation, circumstance, and it has become a therapy to me, a daily therapy, and it's reminding me, it's unlocking all of these memories and feelings, but positive ones for a change.
That's the really...
it's really lovely. And I don't know, for quite a while I thought it was just lucky, that like maybe I was just really lucky and I just found something. But then other people started doing it, and they're feeding back the same things, that it's unlocking bits of them that they didn't realise were suppressed. Or so many people have said that they're finding themselves again because of these little glowy balls, and I love it.
That's very special. Very, very special. Did you intend or think that your own journey and your own struggles and trying to work through some of this stuff, doing this minute with the routines every day, did you imagine that it would create this community like this?
No, I never even thought I'd stick to it. I really didn't. I thought, this will just be one of those things. I'll do a couple of weeks and then I'll be done. But I kept posting, and then obviously more people started following, and that obviously kind of gave me more of an incentive and a little bit more accountability, which did help on those, because the first 2 months were definitely tough. There were days where I just really didn't want to. I really had to force myself.
How did you manage it still on those days?
Well, I'd like to compare it to, how you feel like you have to brush your teeth, except my personal hygiene's been that bad over the past 5 years that I'm actually losing my teeth. So I can't compare it to that because I can't do that. But yeah, it became like I knew I needed to do it. And I knew that no matter how bad I felt, if I went and did it, it would make me feel better. It would be a bit refreshing. It would give me a bit of reprieve from whatever I was feeling at that time.
And did it
in
those times?
Yeah. There were a few mornings where it felt a bit stale, maybe. But even though it didn't feel great, it still felt better than not doing it.
Yeah. You committed to yourself.
Yeah. It was that, I think. Yeah, the kind of accountability to myself, because I told myself I was going to do it every day, and I knew if I didn't, that would be it. My brain would be instantly, you're a failure, you're terrible, all of this, and start with all the negative thoughts. So I knew I had to for my own self.
Your instinct kind of drove you.
It really did. I don't know how to put it into words, but it just felt like it was meant to be. Like I had to do this. And yeah, the response was insane. I still can't get my head around it. I just really can't. It's crazy. Like to think literally 4 months ago, I didn't even think I would be here right now. So yeah.
It's very real, isn't it?
It's very overwhelming, very overwhelming. And I'm getting welly already because it is magnificent. It feels magical, it really does. And yeah, the fact that it's helping other people as well, completely by accident. I don't even know why. I don't know why it was people connected so much. Maybe it was because I was so blunt about how I felt. But yeah, I was just real. I shared the highs and the lows, and yeah. And now it's been pretty consistently high this year. I've had a couple of low weeks, but no dark thoughts, which is a first.
Incredible. Wow. It's not just these little glowy balls. I've got to say, the routines are like astonishing. But yeah, it's beyond the glowy balls, isn't it? People have connected with you and your story and that real, raw, vulnerable version of you. And even though that is really scary, and I can't imagine how much willpower that took to share as well, it's part of it, isn't it? And people have connected to that because there's not much community in society anymore, and there's this highlight reel on social media and no one is sharing those low bits. There's obviously people struggling. So then when you come along, people are connecting to that and with you and with your story and seeing your progress and wanting to share that and wanting to have their own version. And yeah, it's been incredible. I've also been following this story and also have some of the poi balls too. Nowhere near as good, but keep practicing, and that's what it is, isn't it? And I think alongside some of this stuff, these times that you've pushed yourself in the morning that we mentioned and still managed to go out there, it builds that trust up with you, doesn't it? Those small steps a lot of the time are actually bigger than people realize, and these little tiny incremental things that you change, it builds that trust, it builds the belief in yourself again, the positive emotions are released, the exercise itself, endorphins, all of this stuff, all helping in that process.
Well, I quite like exercise, I don't know if you can tell. So I used to be a bodybuilder, so I'm very, very well versed with how exercise affects the mental health. As a bodybuilder, you'd think, you're training every day, you're going to have great mental health. It's actually very detrimental because it is essentially a beauty pageant on how you look. And you are forced to train to the point where you're depleting yourself of everything. But I loved it because it was consistency, it was that routine. The getting judged bit, not so much fun. But yeah, when I stopped doing that, I stopped my routine with the gym. And as soon as I stopped that routine with the gym, I felt myself slipping mentally. So I'm so very, very well aware of just how interlinked exercise and mental health are. Anytime I'm in a good patch, I smash the exercise. I do the gym, do the pole, now I do the poi as well. And yet, when you get so low that you then can't do those things that you love, even though you know they're very, very good for you, it's then like, well, what do I do first? Do I try getting back into the exercise? Do I try getting happier? How do I get happy without exercise? And for me, the poi was a way to do that without having to go to a gym or, you know, change my outfit and dance on a pole. Or I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was grab some balls, turn them on, and spin.
Yeah.
It was so simple. Yeah. And it was a minute. That was the goal. I just set myself 1 minute. And then before I knew it, I was out there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sneaking in little bits of practice whenever I could. Yeah. And it's that release of endorphins is just amazing. And like you say, with trance music as well, you've got that euphoria going on, and a double whammy. It really is. It really is. And yeah, this community that I've built it's just mind blowing. The amount of messages I've had that honestly, I read them and I start sobbing because people are opening up to me on their deepest, darkest, like traumas and woes and all of it. And I'm a big empath, so it's been quite emotional. I won't lie. There's been a few messages and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to come down and pick you up and hug you and save you. But the poi are doing that for people. And even the people that aren't doing the poi are messaging me saying just seeing me fight is helping them as well. Wow. And there's no other word apart from magic that I can think of for it. Yeah. I feel so just honoured. I don't know. I don't even know. Proud, honoured. I don't know what the words are. I don't know what those emotions are. But it's overwhelming, but in a good way. Yeah. Yeah. How are you managing yourself, especially as you've just mentioned there, being an empath as well, and it has really took off. How are you managing this community that you have built now? Well, I'm still learning. I've learned that I'm allowed to take a step back. I learned that I don't have to reply to everyone. I still feel incredible guilt when I don't reply to everyone. But it's one of those things that I know it's getting less. That guilt from not replying to every comment or every message is getting less each time I kind of practice it. Because at first, obviously, when it's only a few followers, you can reply to everyone. Yeah. And then suddenly I'm getting like 100 comments on every video, and I post 3 times a day. That's 300 comments. And I'm like, yeah. And there's been a couple of times where I've thought, I can't do this. But instead of quitting, which is generally quite high up on there on the list of wants when I get overwhelmed, I like to just bury my head and disappear. Instead of quitting, I have just learned to take that step back and try and just take a deep breath. It's okay. They don't need you there 24/7. This isn't a job. I'm doing this for my own mental health. And if I burn myself out trying to help everybody individually, I'm not going to be able to help the masses. That's how I'm trying to look at it. But then I always feel that makes me feel really egotistical and, there's so many emotions involved. Yeah, it's a lot to carry, isn't it? And it's heavy. And obviously you care about yourself and other people. And this is all tied up, isn't it, in all of that. But ultimately, you've kind of touched on it already. You can't rescue everyone. And even as a therapist, I'm not here to rescue either. We best benefit is when we empower people. And ultimately, that's what you're a message of to a lot of these people. And you have provided a coping strategy in form of poi and music and movement and being inspiring in your realness that you're putting out there, having these conversations, provoking people to think about their own lives. And that itself is massive, isn't it? We're in an epidemic of loneliness, aren't we? We are indeed. This community and all of these things that you're providing here is massive, and magic. Yeah, magic is the word that just keeps springing to mind this year. It just, I feel like a little fairy godmother's just waving a little magic wand. Which is great as well, because I'm still having, I'm still up and down. I still have my low periods, but even on those low periods, I've still got this magic, and it's helping me stay. It's helping me bring me back up again if I do hit lows. So it's as beneficial to me as it is to everyone else, and it's magic. It's just all happened so quickly.
It did indeed.
Yeah.
How has it impacted your life, all of this? So beyond Poi, beyond the community, how has it changed you and your life and your motivation, your mental health, the other things around it, your relationships, your relationship with yourself, connecting back with yourself? How has it changed those things?
Okay, so we'll start with the relationship with myself, because that's probably the biggest one. Before this, I felt worthless. I felt like I did not deserve to be on this earth because I haven't got anything to give anyone. I'm not, hugely educated. I don't have loads of money. I don't have anything to offer. And this has made me realize that actually I do. And what I have to offer is me. And that is going to make me cry, because it is unreal to think that just by being honest and open about all of my crazy little brain things, that I can help. And all I've ever wanted to do is help people. Like I say, I'm a huge empath. One of my dreams is to start a charity for the chronically ill, mental health and physical health. And this feels like I may be possibly on that path. And this might be, the path to be able to do that. It's always been a pipe dream. Like, how on earth do you start a charity when you've got nothing? And suddenly I feel like, actually, maybe this is my calling. Maybe. I don't know. I'm excited to find out. But yeah, it's taught me that it's okay to be you, flaws and all. I've always said that I'm a broken person. My body's broken, I'm chronically ill. My brain's broken, I've got chronic depression and chronic everything else. So I've always just felt very broken. But meeting other people who are also broken, and knowing that I can help them feel a little less broken too, it's changed my view on myself. Which I never thought would happen, genuinely.
Yeah. I absolutely see the charity in you and some of these dreams. And sometimes things happen for a reason, don't they? These pie balls, you found them accidentally. The community happened unintentionally. This is a very good opening for some of these things, isn't it? And I'm sure you've had some opportunities come up. I also reached out to you for the podcast. There are lots of things, isn't there, in there that could help lead you on that way. And I totally see you have the skills in that, and it's really obvious how much you care. Gently going to challenge the broken part.
Yeah, go for it.
No one's broken. It's unmet need, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's possibly some self-limiting beliefs, which would be a therapy thing to go into. But yeah, if you can work through some of that stuff, is not to say that you can not do any of the dreams.
Yeah, I'm actually, so a lady reached out to me from, I don't know if you've ever heard of Baton of Hope.
Not sure.
It's essentially a suicide prevention or a suicide awareness charity. And she reached out to me because obviously I've been very open on my platform. I have had a suicide attempt, and I'm a chronic self-harmer. And she reached out to me quite early on, and I'm actually performing in Cumbria for a suicide prevention. It's I think their motto is stand up to suicide, and it is just trying to, obviously, for those people that feel that isolated and that low, to make them, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I love this for you. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, so that was one of the first people that kind of got in touch. Then yourself, and I've had a couple of DJs reach out and stuff. So
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's all a bit crazy. But yeah, the coming to talk to yourself and the Baton of Hope event, because for me, sharing my mental health is obviously the biggest part on my platform. So to be asked to you know, come and talk about it or perform for it, it just feels like I'm on the right path. It's yeah.
Why is that important for you to share and inspire people with your story?
Because I know no one talks about it, not the truth, not the ugly truth, and I'm not scared to. I don't know why. I don't know why, because I'm scared to talk about a lot of things. But I will happily open up about the deepest, darkest, most terrible thoughts in my head to anyone who wants to hear. And I think sometimes just because like I say, we don't talk about those really gnarly things. And I think the fact that someone's willing to will help. All I've ever wanted to do is have someone tell me that it's not just me.
Yeah.
Because you just feel so, well, no one else can feel this horrible. Because if everyone felt this horrible, there wouldn't be a world, right? So it's completely isolating. And people share about mental health. They kind of
surface.
Yeah, they beautify it. And there's nothing beautiful about bad mental health. It's hard and it's destructive, and if my kind of original thought when things started to kick off was if I could help one person like me not hurt themselves, I've succeeded in life. And I've done that times, I don't even know how many hundreds. And that is, it's just crazy. It truly is. All because for some reason, and I don't know why, but I'm just absolutely fine talking about those really scary, horrible things.
It's really good, actually, and good for you too. The amount of times that people will say, oh, how are you today? Yeah, good. Yeah, okay, you. And these conversations, it's routine, isn't it? It's habit. And actually, a lot of people are hurting. And
very much so.
Sometimes it does take someone like yourself to be like, I'm not very good today.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said of healing. There's this aesthetic, isn't there, thrown around of, I'm going to sit here in this beautiful candlelit room with my journal and journal about my life. This is going to be healing, and this is going to change my life. And sure, it might in some ways, but healing is like the deep, dark, sitting with those dark thoughts. What are your biggest fears? What are you mostly ashamed of? All of these areas. And being vulnerable and connecting and sharing with yourself and with others, that's healing. And it's crying in the morning, crying at lunch, crying at every opportunity. It's feeling like you can't go on. All these things you've spoken about, that's healing. That's true healing.
There's been, so this year has been fantastic for my mental health. Has been the most stable it's ever been. And I've probably cried more this year than I did the entirety of last year because I've been so overwhelmed. So I've even been crying with positive, because it's not really something I've felt. So even that part of the healing process, I've been learning how to accept good and how to feel good. And that has caused emotions and crying, and that initially was really, really like, why is this happening? Why everything's great? Why am I crying? And it took, it's still happening, I think, taking a while to kind of really process that, these are new feelings, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to be overwhelmed by good. You can be overwhelmed by any emotion, good or bad. But it was a bit of a shock to the system initially that even good can make you cry. It felt good tears. They felt very releasing. They were nice tears.
Something you've mentioned, and I've also seen online too, the pole and bodybuilder type stuff that you do. How is that linking into some of the things we've spoken about today?
Okay. So I started pole probably about the same time that I first ever picked up poi, back in the early 2000s. And it kind of became a bit of a coping mechanism for me. I was not in a great place back then. I had a great time, but through very, very bad choices. And And pole was it was my happy place. It was somewhere that I could go, just be in my bedroom, just pole by myself. Very similar to poi, it was that release of emotions.
Yeah.
Didn't really do it back then as a therapy thing. It was just my happy place. And I think as well, because I got quite good at it, obviously that always helps. It
builds your confidence.
It does, yeah. And one thing I love about pole dancing, I actually used to teach it. I taught it for 6 years. It is lovely to see people do it, and you see their confidence kind of emerge, because you do need to wear quite a unique outfit for pole. The less clothes, the better, because obviously you have to stick to this metal thing. And yeah, it's quite empowering seeing from a first pole session where you're all covered up in baggy trousers and you're like, to, you know, a couple of weeks down the line where you're rocking around in a pair of shorts and a crop top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of happened on this journey. Sorry, I'm jumping around here.
Go for it.
When I first started doing my poi videos, I only wore baggy jumpers, baggy t-shirts and baggy jeans. And over the months, I've started with crop tops, and then I started wearing tight trousers again, leggings, and I started dressing better. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realise at the time just how unconfident I'd obviously become in myself I was hiding myself in these baggy clothes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was another bonus from poi. But bodybuilding's been amazing for me, because I used to be severely anorexic. So at my very lowest, I weighed just under 5.5 stone. Bodybuilding for me was a way to kind of get over my anorexia. It taught me that kind of, because with anorexia, it's very disciplined. You have to be very disciplined. But you do with bodybuilding, but in a much more positive and healthy way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for bodybuilding, taught me to love my body, taught me to love the capabilities of my body as well, because I had to work so hard in the gym. Mm. And then when I got really, really down, so it was 2019 when I first took a really big plummet, I stopped. I stopped bodybuilding, I stopped pole dancing, stopped everything. And without those in my life, it just, yeah, it got really, really dark. And then the poi, because that's got me moving again, it's got me feeling better again. I'm back in the gym now, and I've started pole dancing again. Mm. So by finding poi, it's actually brought those other things back into my life a little bit.
I see what you mean, of connecting back to yourself, the things you love, the things you're passionate about, and these things all tying up together.
Exactly. It's reminding me that I can do them and that I do enjoy them. Because obviously when your head's so cloudy and dark, nothing is enjoyable. All joy is sapped, and you try your hardest to enjoy it, but it's so hard. Yeah, it's so hard. And finding that one thing for me, poi, that was the one thing that just tipped those scales and reminded me that actually I can enjoy things. I can have fun. I can feel good.
And sad, and be okay with that.
And too. Sad and be okay. Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, the mental health struggles that you've experienced has led you to a lot of the exercise stuff in different methods I can see and hear as well. And nourishing your body like that, again, it's building trust with yourself, isn't it? Valuing yourself, building your confidence, feeling strength in a different way, because eating disorders a lot of the time, it's about control, feeling strength. Yeah. Feeling like you can manage a lot of things. It's a coping strategy, isn't it? Negative one, but nevertheless. So it sounds like you swapped it and did that in a different way, got your needs met, but through the healthier version, and really looking after your body and flipping it on itself. And sounds 100%. Like it served you as well.
It really did. I have done very well over the years of finding good coping mechanisms. And bodybuilding, it felt, I still love it now. One of my favourite things is, especially in summer, is if a delivery man comes and, you know, it's a heavy parcel and they're like, oh, can you handle this? And I'm like, kapow, yes, I can. It's empowering to feel strong as a woman, because we are often,
Fragile and vulnerable.
so frequently told that we are the weaker species and the weaker gender. And it is, I won't lie, my little feminist comes out in me every time I go to a gym and can beat a boy at any exercise. Probably not, maybe not the healthiest, but but it is, as a woman, it is very nice to have that kind of physical strength as well. Because especially I think I've been very submissive throughout my whole life. I've been pushed around a lot. I've been told who I'm allowed to be, what I'm allowed to be, so on and so forth. And obviously that leaves you feeling very weak and very controlled. And to have physical strength and to be in control of those weights in a gym, or in control of my body on the pole, or in control of those poi every morning, it allows me to feel like, I'm not that person. I'm not the person that was just used and abused.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. I am in control. I am allowed to be in control, and I am allowed to like and want what I want.
Yeah.
And that's a revelation for me. It really is. Yeah.
And showing up as well, being like, here I am, and just completely present in that, and showing up as yourself. Lots of things in there, isn't there? I follow women's boxing as well. Obviously a bit of a sidestep, but I think there are a lot of things in society as women that we are suppressed with, and there's more things coming up like this now, and having strength, having a voice even is massive.
I am very proud of us ladies at the moment, I won't lie. I think we're doing a fantastic job at rising up a little bit. But it is nice to have something that kind of gives you that feeling of control, because so often in life, I mean, I think everyone feels it, don't they? A bit out of control at times.
Yeah. And men also equally do have different versions of their own stuff, but this obviously is a societal women problem, and have very difficult areas as well. There's different things.
I genuinely, I feel for men and their mental health a lot, because that is still really stigmatized, really badly. But it's stigmatized for both genders still, really, isn't it? The proper, like I say, the gnarly stuff, people don't want to know. But at the same time, I think my channel proves that actually they do want to know, and it doesn't have to be hidden. It's not shameful. And I think that's probably the biggest realization for me, is that I don't have to feel shame.
I think it's really good to highlight as well kind of the exercise element. Obviously for yourself, there's loads of versions in there, and I think this is important for people to check out with their own version of exercise. So people automatically assume it's going to be the gym, it's going to be lifting all the weights, it's going to be doing all of this stuff. There's loads of methods of exercise that you can access. It's about finding what's right for you. There's hula hooping, there's boxing, there's rock climbing, there's hiking, there's swimming, there is poi, there is pole dancing. Like, there is so much versions of exercise.
There is literally something for everyone.
But when you explore it, you can find like what fits you, what you connect with. And for me, it was a lot of the music and movement. I do a lot of other things too, and hiking, but everyone's is going to be completely different.
Yeah, well, I'm also a personal trainer, so I do teach fitness. And basically what I do is I give every new client a free consultation, and I say to them, you may hate this, and if you do, don't do it. Like, I don't want you to force yourself to come here and do it. I want you to find something that you're going to enjoy, because not everybody likes lifting the same weight 12 times. It's, boring.
Not for me.
Personally, I love it. I love that. It's simple. It's so simple. But then I also love pole dancing, and I go hiking as well. But there is something out there for everybody. There is a different form of exercise for anyone. I'm actually creating, I'm an accounts manager as well for a company, and I'm creating them a desk workout plan at the moment.
That's cool.
Yeah, so essentially we all work from home, and we are trying to promote, a lot of them feel isolated. We don't want them to feel isolated. We want them to feel connected, and we want them to get moving, because If you don't move and you're isolated, it leads to bad thoughts. So yeah, and it's simple things like chair squats. So all you have to do is sit at your desk, just stand up 10 times.
Ah,
That is exercise.
that's handy.
Yeah, just do that once every hour. And then before you know it, you've done 80 squats in a day. If you do it once every hour in your 8-hour day, you do 80 squats a day. Every time you go to the kettle, you could maybe do some calf raises. So just go on your tiptoes and back down. Just do that for 3 minutes while the kettle's boiling. While you're brushing your teeth, you can march on the spot while you're brushing your teeth. There are ways to implement a little bit of exercise into our daily lives whilst doing other tasks, so it doesn't have to feel so overwhelming.
This is very good advice. I'm sure there are a lot of people that will benefit from this, especially with the work from home era that we're still experiencing. And yeah, people are struggling. I think I relate also. I dance and clean a lot.
Yeah, the amount of times I've told clients, lunge while you hoover, and they're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, trust me, it works.
It does.
It works because if
fun too.
I'm sorry, but if you don't have a duster and start singing with it at some point, you're not cleaning. Yeah, implementing little bits into your daily. It doesn't, like you say, it doesn't have to be daunting. You don't have to go to the gym for an hour. Just do bite-sized bits. There's a way around it. There's a way to better or to get exercise in without having to be in the gym lifting 12 reps 3 times.
Okay, some very interesting things we've spoken about today. What's next for you, Emma?
Oh gosh, I don't know. So for me, this year is about healing, and I don't want to overwhelm myself with too much else. But I do also want to take this opportunity. I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy. 50,000 followers in 4 months just blows my brain. And I want to use this as an opportunity to perhaps, like I say, start working towards that goal of having my own mental health charity. But I don't want to get ahead of myself because I will get overwhelmed. And if I get overwhelmed, I know I'll go and hide, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, this year is just about growth. I just want to get myself feeling really, really stable and using my poi to do that.
Yeah.
And my new family, my new online family, they're brilliant.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. If you could give a message to your new online family and community that you've created, and knowing what you know as well, knowing what you've been through, and some of them will be still struggling, I'm sure, and there's new followers each day, each people are connecting with different things. They've all got different mental health stuff, physical stuff, stress, work stuff. There's a whole range, isn't there? There's a lot going on in the world right now. If you could give any kind of insight into what you've learned, what you've just been through, and how you've worked through a lot of it, and still are, as you said, it's an ongoing journey for all of us. What would you like to
The biggest thing is just don't give up. Just no matter how awful it feels, it can get better. It really can. Because I have, like I say, I've been there where it feels like there's no hope. But there is. There always is. Even if it is just the smallest glimmer, hold on to it and just keep fighting, because magic can happen.
Yeah.
It can.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be overwhelming magic. Like, you don't have to achieve amazing, great things. The most magical thing for me is just the fact that I've stuck to this for 4 months. It's that consistency. Like you've said, it's doing it for myself that's been the most amazing thing for me. So yeah, don't quit. That is my message.
Changing life 1 minute a day at a time.
Exactly. And know that it's not linear. There are up the mountains and down the mountains, and some are going to be fast and some are going to be slow. It's going to be, even healed, I don't think it's ever going to be linear. And it's trying to remember that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure.
And maybe we can get some tips for my poi training after.
I've been caged by you for such a long, long time. You had your own particular way to feel my mind with low esteem regarding myself, so I kept me hidden within my shell. And it took so long for me to see how the more